whether I should make this video. Essentially, I thought, like, everyone knows I'm bi, there's no sort of need to make a whole video about it, I don't need to come out, like, everyone knows. But then I changed my mind. Representation in the media is still lacking, and the more we talk about it, the more it will feel normal, and the closer we'll get to a point where nobody has to come out, essentially. Since, like, nobody comes out straight. I've experienced some biphobia since coming out, and making this video is kind of like a middle finger to that because nobody puts me back in the closet. And also, I really like talking about bisexuality because it's cool. This video is going to be quite long, so make sure you strap in and yeah, make sure you give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Now I've done that whole spiel, let's actually talk about being bi. So, since I was born, I was raised in a very conservative Catholic environment, and being gay was just not an option. It was assumed, and I was told, that if I ever had a relationship, it would be a marriage to a man, and I would have kids. Anything else was unthinkable and unnatural, and God would hate me. I really internalised this message, but fortunately, also I thought I didn't have anything to worry about because, obviously, I was straight and that didn't apply to me anyway. As a result, I was pretty severely homophobic as a young teenager, and to anyone I have hurt, I sincerely apologise, as well as having apologised previously, personally. And something I had to deprogram from myself, like, pretty heavily as soon as I realised the extent of religious indoctrination that I'd undergone. I essentially had a moment of realisation one day. I was like, hang on a minute, I'm being a horrible person. And yeah, there was a lot of personal growth that kind of came from that point. Yeah, growing up I always had crushes on guys, but I also used to crush on girls without realising it. I used to sort of put it down to jealousy about how pretty they were, or like similar things, but I really just wanted to date them. I had like this phase in my mid-teens where I was like obsessed with drawing the female body, and in retrospect that was very gay. But I definitely wanted to get with a girl at that stage, but I also put it down to being interested in portrait art at the time, which I was, but also I was very gay. Essentially, I was like forcing my queer self to fit a heteronormative script, which I think is something that a lot of queer people I've talked to can really relate to, because obviously like I didn't have any other explanation for what I was feeling. When I went to uni, I was still in the sort of denial phase, although I'd successfully lost all my homophobia, and I was starting to question my religion. I guess this was like my ally era, although it was very short-lived, only a few months. I started online dating and I set my filters to everyone because I wanted to, quote, have something pretty to look at as a break from looking at all the men, which all my friends thought was hilarious. They were like, bestie, you're bi, but I was like, no, I'm not. Obvious as fuck in hindsight, but I still like wasn't buying it, and the joke at the time was that my gaydar was so bad it couldn't even detect me. A few months into uni, I developed a big crush on a girl, like huge crush, and I finally started to actually think logically about the situation. And I noticed that my attraction to women didn't replace my attraction to men and other genders, so then I was like really confused. Because I definitely had like an identity crisis around that time. My mental health was like up and down, I was like panicking. I was like, what's going on? I don't understand it. And I just couldn't reconcile all parts of myself with my self-image. And eventually I realised that my self-image needed to change, because that was literally the only solution at that point. I sort of came out to myself and started calling myself bisexual internally to see how it felt. Immediately, I just felt that it fit. Like, as soon as I started doing that, I was like, yes, this makes so much sense. And it really suited me, and it completely explained everything I'd been confused about. I sort of waited about a month until I felt more like secure about it, and then I came out to some of my close friends who were all amazing and supportive, and if you're watching, thank you very much for supporting me at the time. And to be honest, it was like a yes we know kind of moment more than anything else. Over time, I sort of gradually came out to more and more people at uni and at home. The vast majority of people were accepting, which I was very lucky with that, because I know a lot of people are in environments that, you know, literally nobody will be accepting or actively hostile, and I was very lucky that the vast majority of people were accepting. However, like, there were a few people who were not accepting, and that really hurt. I had a few big like coming out conversations with a few people, but mostly it just sort of came up naturally in conversation and it wasn't a big deal. So I find that you have to like you're always coming out, like, in sort of, to lots of people in lots of different ways. And the right way to do it, honestly, is the one that feels right for you. I mean, you could have a party, or you could just, like, never mention it and then just show up with a girlfriend one day. I got negative reactions and biphobia or homophobia from some people, and it was pretty horrible in the moment, but I learned to stand up for myself, and I felt really good about it. And I feel like it built my confidence, even though, obviously, I shouldn't have had to go through negative reactions at all, and neither should you. Over the next couple of years, I explored my identity a bit more, and I realised that I definitely have more of an attraction for women. These days, I tend to describe my attraction as, like, most women and 3 very specific types of men, plus plenty of other genders. Some bisexuals have no overall preference, some lean strongly to one gender or over others, or it's not really a percentage game either. It's not that I'm, like, half straight and half gay, it's a complete orientation in itself. Likewise, the stereotypes of bisexuals being indecisive or needing to pick a side are obviously bullshit. Like, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm saying it. Some people identify as bi before discovering they have a different orientation, but a lot don't, and so far I haven't and don't expect to. I started to listen to more queer music, like, for example, Lady Gaga and Girl in Red were, like, staples of the early days, and in classic style I had Sweater Weather on repeat for a while, followed by Janelle Monáe, and I made a bunch of, like, bi and queer playlists. I really loved hearing LGBTQ plus music because music has always, like, given me comfort. It's really helped my mental health. I started to explore more queer media. For a while I was and still kind of am particularly obsessed with American Horror Story and Call Me By Your Name. Obviously with American Horror Story some seasons are better than others, so pick and choose. But more recommendations are welcome, by the way. If you have good recommendations for queer media, please drop them in the comments because I want more, like, please. And I also tried to experiment with style choices that I felt reflected my identity, so I bought myself a big pride flag when I went to my first pride, and I bought myself, like, a pride shirt. I'm not wearing it in this video, maybe I should have done. I started learning eyeliner because that made me feel, like, more queer. And yeah, I tried to dress and present as more bisexual with varying levels of success. But, you know, at least I had fun in the process. And any more bisexual style recommendations, drop them in the comments. Like, I already have a Pinterest board, but I would love to hear more. Alright, on that topic, going to my first Pride. So the first year after I came out, I missed Pride for, like, an unrelated reason. It's just a scheduling thing. But this year, I did actually go to 2 Pride events, one at uni and one at home. I was, like, really nervous before the first one because I was not entirely sure what to expect. But by the time I went to my second one, I was totally at home because I'd had so much fun and I felt, like, super at home, everyone was really welcoming, and I just really relaxed into it. Seeing lots of, like, bi and queer people hanging out and having fun was fantastic for my mental health, and really a wonderful memory because I went with some friends and we all had a great time. It really sort of boosted my self-expression and self-esteem, and I hope to be going to many more Pride events in the future. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about what the future holds. I feel like I'm in a good place at the moment. When I first realised I was bi, it felt really intimidating and unfamiliar, and I was worried about how my self-image might change and how other people would react. Well, I've had my self-image and confidence change vastly for the better, and most people reacted in a really supportive way. Like I said, I developed a resilience to deal with the people who didn't. I now like my style more, I like my personality more, I like my mindset more, I like myself more. While some of this is probably just a part of self-development as a young adult, which is obviously, like, a huge thing during university years anyway, coming out absolutely had a positive impact on my well-being and on my mental health because finally everything, like, it kind of came together, like, everything started to make sense within my personality and I wasn't, like, confused or conflicted anymore. I will say, forcing people to stay in the closet when they don't want to be in there just causes problems and unhappiness and mental health issues, and do not do it. Please. Acceptance costs you nothing, and it can mean everything. In my life, I'd like to continue experimenting with my style to look more bi, so any style recs are welcome in the comments, like I said. Oh, in general, I'm interested in, like, queer dating and socialising and experiencing more queer events and media. Developing your identity is, I will say, a lifelong thing, and that's good, because there is plenty that I want to explore. On this channel, actually, I would love to make a bisexual or queer series because I have lots and lots of thoughts on bisexuals in the media and about bisexual erasure and on queer biculture in general, so comment below if that's something you'd like to see because that is something I would absolutely love to make for you. I think there are loads of fantastic queer creators, and I'm very happy to like join them and just make a lot more queer content on here, because I think that's something that it needs to be out there, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. I would just like to give you some bi rep on here. Here I am. Yeah, anyway, if you can relate, let me know in the comments. That's all for this very long, very heartfelt video. Make sure to like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Alright, love you, bye.